about fire outbreaks at the Techiman market, but we're also expanding the conversation to the other fires that we've seen in recent times. Dousing the flames has become a problem for the Ghana National Fire Service, which says its fighting capacity has been challenged. Now, if you're living in Konongo, Atebu, Techiman, Amasaman, Adenta, Teshi, and many other places, your fate, if there were to be a fire, would hang in the balance. Well, today, we're pleased to have joining the conversation AD01 Alex King Nate. He is PRO. He is one of the PROs, or a member of the public relations team of the Ghana National Fire Service. He joins the conversation. And as you can see, his outfit ahead of the fire creates quite you should check yourself out. Yeah. Look at yourself with the fiery background.
On fire. That's a good choice of background.
That's a good choice, sweetie.
But Alex, how busy have you been in terms of the Ghana National Fire Service? This is what, the 11th or 12th day of January?
Yes.
And we've had about 4 incidents of fire, which made the headlines, you know,
yes.
from Kantamanso, Kwadaso, Techiman now, and so many. Tamale. How busy has it been? And have you been able to fight these fires effectively?
Okay, so I like the fact that he said that's made the headlines, because there's been many other fires.
Yes.
You know, yesterday like this.
In fact, I do see your post on Facebook.
Exactly.
I know there's so many other fires that don't make the waves.
You know, so many other fires. Yesterday there was a major fire at Nana Krum, very big fire. Mamprobi. We had to go for 2 separate fires within Mamprobi. Someone's car got bent at Kaswa. Oh. There was an accident that we attended to on the motorway. 2 people lost their lives. So it's been we are very busy. Contrary to what people think, we get very busy, and it's always about there's never been a time we've never been able to extinguish a fire. We always extinguish a fire, just that with the needed or the enhanced tools, we should be able to, you know, extinguish it much earlier or much easily. Or much easier.
Yeah.
But then there's never been any time that we are not able to extinguish a fire.
Right. And so I know Ben will take us more incisive to talk about the hydrants and the tenders and the lack thereof and all that. But the question I want to ask is the increased number of incidents of fire we're seeing as a result of the weather? Because I was telling Ben this morning that it's not even as dry as it used to be. I mean, during the Hamatan season. So what's happening there? Why are we seeing so many incidents of fires?
But, you know, funny enough, whenever there's even rain, when we have the rainy season, we still record high number of fires.
Wow. Okay.
So fires don't really have any particular period, but just that we see much more of these fires during the Harmattan period because of the general dryness in the atmosphere, and there's lack of humidity. You realize that probably a leaf that would have been moist, you know, and would have been resistant to fire, would otherwise be quite dry and will be susceptible to fires, you know. And so coupled with negligence on the part of people, and then also for blatant disregard for fire safety protocols, and even blatant disregard for our safety officers who go around to have education with people. These are all contributory factors to fires, because trust me, markets, we go on market education a lot. It's really unfortunate that we get there and then people can tell us that that's how the market, most of these market traders respond to our education. So what can you do? You can take a camel to the water side, but you can't force it to drink. Yeah. We go, I remember there was last 2 years, we had a fire education with a media, one of the media houses, and we had it at Dome Market. So it's very sad. Right. Nobody came around to listen to us. Just that same night, Mile 7 fire market caught fire. You see, so and I had to be, when I went for that education, I had to be blunt to tell them that, look, you don't have a fire station in this area, so if there's fire, it will take a long time for us to come. Because at Dome, for instance, if there's any fire, the closest tender that would respond would either be Medina.
So let's start the conversation there, actually. There are 16 regions, right? Yes. Do you have the numbers in terms of how many fire tenders you have? How many fire hydrants are available? How are they distributed across the various districts and communities and regions, in fact? Let's start the conversation there. Because you mentioned that you're never able to You've never been unable to quench a fire. It's just the efficiency of it. And last year, I remember it took about 3 days to quench some fire in Accra.
I think it's almost.
Was it Accra? It took more than 3 days.
Yes.
Right. So give us the numbers. Let's start.
Okay. So I don't have the numbers here, but what I can say is that I very much doubt if, in all cumulatively, we would have even up to, if I'm not mistaken, I doubt we would have up to 50 working fire attendants nationwide.
Up to 50. And we'll soon put the data out there, because there are regions without fire tenders.
Yes, there are regions. Well, as at the time that report was made, conscious effort has been made by our management to put some of these tenders back in commission. But the unfortunate thing is that is not the permanent fix. See, if we are to talk about the service in Ghana with the best practice when it comes to maintenance, I would say the Ghana National Fire Service. Because for years, we haven't received any fire tender, or it's been a long time we didn't heard of any donation or presentation to the Ghana National Fire Service. Yet you see our appliances and our vehicles on the road, because we have the best, maintenance, and that is not the best. It's not even the title we should be taking, because ideally we have to be able to have new fire tenders that should be operationalized to serve the good people of Ghana. So conscious effort has been made. A station like Adelimpi, they were out of commission for a while. We've put them back in commission. There are other areas that were out of commission. We've done well to put them out. But you see, we put them back in commission, and then after a few fires, they go back out of commission again. At Amasaman, for instance, they were in commission. They went for a fire over the weekend. As I speak to you, they are back out of commission again. You see?
Explain, what does that mean when you say they're out of commission? It means what? They are incapable. What does it mean?
It has developed the fault. Hence, it can't proceed to a fire scene.
Right.
So when people go to a fire station and then they see a fire tender parked there, automatically they presume that, the fire tender is working. So they expect that fire tender to have moved. But then when you go to a fire station and the fire truck is in reverse parking, it means it's in commission and it's functioning. If it's parked the other way around, it means it's not working. So when you go to a fire station and you see any fire tender parked there, the fact that there's a fire tender parked there doesn't automatically mean that it's working, depending on how it's parked. So
you've just taught us something today.
Exactly. And we wish, it's our hope that if this new government, would tend to look at the fire service, we'll be able to get so many fire tenders that it would even be ideal, or it's not far-fetched, to have fire tenders packed, so many fire tenders that we could even afford to pack some, even at markets. So that Kantamanto Market has a fire tender on its own. Makola has a fire tender packed even inside the market, to be able to take care. So that even if a fire starts at the early stages, because we have a fire tender stationed there, it's able, and I'm sure even in the case of arson, if someone should try to deliberately start a fire, the fact that he's seen a fire tender, he will know that it's a moot point, because if he tries anything, we'll be there to fight it. But in this case, we are struggling with fire tenders, and so it puts.
And it's not just tenders, though. I know you're also struggling with hydrants, but Ben,
no. It's a crucial point you mentioned, because you can have the fire tender, it can get there, especially if it's coming without water, and then there's no water.
There's no way it comes. Okay, so let me try and clarify this. There's no way the fire tender will come without water. Okay, so as I said, our fire tenders are old, and so realize that when sometimes people say our tender came without water, you still see people with buckets fetching water from this hydrant. So I wonder whether the water came from the sky.
And I said that because there have been incidents where people say the hydrant came, but there was no water. The tender came, and there was no water.
So you see, the tender with the water inside, it needs a pump. The pump propels the water to come out through the pump to give it that pressure for the water to come out through the hoses. These pumps come with these tenders. And imagining how old these tenders are, it means that these pumps are also very old. There are times, every morning, we do checking. Before you take over from the outgoing crew, you check to be sure everything is working. But it's a machine. So there's water. But just that sometimes when you get there, the pump that's supposed to propel the water to come out through the hose is what sometimes fails us. But there's never a time. And when we get to a scene also, we don't just fight every fire with water. Okay, let me cast our mind back to the unfortunate incident that happened at Circle. On that day, it was raining, but we recorded a very unfortunate, gruesome incident. So imagine if water could fight every fire, wouldn't be having this conversation, or wouldn't have had that disaster happening.
Yeah.
So there are some fires that when our crew get to the scene, based on assessments, we realize that if it has to do with electrical fire, for instance, we have to call on ECG to cut power supply to the area before we're able to apply water on it. If the fire has to do with oil, you just can't go and pour water on oil. Even if the fire has to do with petrol or fuel, you can't just go and apply water.
Chemicals.
You can't just...
plastic and all that. There are different dynamics.
Exactly my point. So sometimes when we get there, we are doing an assessment, people just think that once we get down, we have to just immediately take the hose and start. And then, so when people think they are macho men, and then they don't have sense more than the firemen, and go and take water and pour it on it, they will end up killing themselves. Because we don't fight. So there's never been any time we come without. So as I said, so depending on the type of fire we are dealing with, and also the fact that because the fire tenders are old, and then the pumps that come with it are old, there are times that a fire tender can go to about 3 or 4 or even 5 fires in a day.
Wow.
Yes. Yesterday, our team at Dansuman, they went to about 3 fires alone yesterday. Today, Kaswa has gone to fire already. Our team at Medina have gone to fire just before I came. And this will not be the last fire they'll be attending today.
And the sort of pressure you are under, I mean, if you followed a bit of what is happening in California, they've even had support from Mexico and Canada. Thousands of fire officers on the ground trying to help that. So in our case, especially with the dynamics, but I want us to just take a little look at some of the data we have on what is available to the Ghana Fire Service, and then we can take it from there, come back into the studio. So if you look at the firefighting trucks, as of November last year, 248 appliances were available, with 133 of them faulty. Now, if you continue from there, that would give you 53.6% of firefighting trucks in Ghana being faulty. If we go to the next slide, you would have just 53.6% of the firefighting trucks being faulty. And then, in terms of the regional breakdown, this is what really scares me. If you look at the regional breakdown, now, Upper East region has available trucks 16, faulty 16. That means as of that time, none were functional. OT region, 8 available, 8 faulty. Volta region, 17 available, 15 faulty. They have 2. Upper West, 14 versus 12 being faulty. Central, 22 with 15 being faulty. That leaves them with 7. If you go on, then you would have in the regions, the Ghana National Fire Service headquarters, and we have ADO1 here. He will tell us what the situation is. 8 available, 6 faulty, which would leave them with 2. Greater Accra, 25 available, 15 faulty, leaving us with 10. Northeast, 5-3, leaving with 2. Western, 16-9, leaving 7. Ashanti, 25 and 6. I think they had the highest number with 19 functional. So you look at it there, finally, in terms of the regional breakdown of faulty trucks. Upper East, 100% faulty. OT, 100% faulty. Volta, 88%. It goes on and on. Upper West, 85%. The best is the northern region with 15.3%. And then from there, Bono with 15.38%. Savannah with 17%. And that is the tail of the tape. Now, the final slide also brings into sharp focus a very worrying issue. Like AD01 said, what if we had fire tenders at marketplaces, for example, to avert the fires? So imagine Kolebu, the Kolebu area, has a fire. What do? Nalerigu Fire Service Regional HQ, Nasia Fire Post, all of these places without firefighting trucks or fire tenders. That is the situation there.
You see,
is this still like this? Let me just confirm. Well, is this still the situation?
It's improved slightly. I have to admit that it's improved slightly.
Where and
Our
where?
management, is in Accra, for instance, we've done well to put some back in commission. In the Volta region, I know some work has gone into putting some back in commission. But then again, I can tell, as I said, it's improved a bit, but not totally. Because at the end of the day, it takes a lot. You know, these fire tenders are custom made. They are not fire tenders that are just like Toyota cars that you can go and buy them on the market. A supplier has to supply them based on your specification. So as and when they get faulty or some parts are faulty, you can't just go to the market to buy them. You know, so they are not on the parts are not on the market that you can just go and buy them. You have to now go through the procurement process to secure funding and even to secure these parts coming again, and which will take a while. To support these lights, the fire at Techiman, for instance, it was very terrible to note that the first fire tender at Techiman, it's on life support. It's from what I gathered.
Wow.
Yes, it was in a bad condition, but they were able to get there and still start fighting. The second tender had to come all the way from Kintampo, 1 hour drive from the fire scene. The other, we had to even call all the way from Nkranza and call again all the way from Wassa.
Alex, let me just move the conversation for maybe wrap. What do you need? Be as specific as possible. There's a new administration, so we might as well just throw it out there. Maybe your luck will shine, like we like to say in local parlance. What do you need? We
need fire tenders. We need investments in. We need tremendous or significant investments to be made into the Ghana National Fire Service. It's very unfortunate that people never think of fires and the fire service until there's fire. And it hurts, it becomes annoying or nauseating for me to realize that our officers who are sacrificing and putting their lives on the line are the ones who bear the brunt of the public. Right. When they should otherwise be celebrated for working under such under resourcefulness. So it becomes very worrying that, give us the logistics, equip us adequately enough, and if we don't perform, you have the right to judge us. Okay. Look at a place as resourced as the California, with the fire. Personally, I saw videos of firefighters using lady sandbags to fetch water to douse these fires. And then I asked myself that this is a country that is well resourced. This is a country that prides itself with firefighting needs, and they are even suffering like this.
Then the
question is that if it happens in Ghana, I was asking myself
to resign.
I asked myself that same question, and I didn't want to answer that question.
Sadly, so,
but we thank you for what you keep doing for. In fact, when I look at your motto there, you say combatant for God and humanity, and we thank you for the service you keep rendering. But now.